today we have a special guest who is all about how you can go and own your digital identity online. Since we are shifting from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, so it's all about how you can regain the control of your own stuff, on your own digital identity, and so much more. We have Bill Ottman on the show today. Bill is actually the co-founder and CEO of Minds.com, which is a decentralized social media platform.
The decentralized protocols that we're integrating with have, a set of components and principles that could be applied to any app.
Which is all about censorship resistant, global dialogue, privacy, and creator monetization. Also the rights of the individual as well who's on the platform. He have been featured on a lot of different media outlets, including Joe Rogan's podcast 3 times, which is amazing. And also some pretty well-known media outlets such as like NYTimes, Washington Post, and so many more as well. We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to cover, how things are transitioning and all that as well. So please welcome Bill Ottman. Hey, Bill.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So before diving deep into Minds.com, I want to know a little bit of your backstory, like how the journey was prior to getting into Minds.com. Like what was it look like for you?
I mean, the company was created in 2011. So it has been, 12 years.
Almost a decade or more. Yeah.
Yeah, more. So it just goes by just starting a company. I mean, I feel like that's something that people don't realize because things evolve over time, and like you just want to have a vehicle to create a business. And that doesn't mean that like every business is the same, but I think a lot of people stall and they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't have the perfect idea. And so I'm not going to become independent and just start something, even to have it on the side. So yeah, I mean, did it. And then we didn't launch our first app until 2015. So, we knew that there was inevitability for an open source social media app to kind of enter the mainstream. And that's always been what we predicted. And that's happening. Not just with us, there's multiple. And so that's what we started to build. And then we built it. It took a few years and it just kept growing.
Yeah, that's great. So like how you came up with this like sort of like idea or confirming on an idea like, hey, we're gonna go down this path. Like we're gonna create something that would be, I would say, like censorship free. People have their own individual rights of their data. So like when this idea came along and you were like, hey, I'm gonna go with this mission and I'm gonna go ahead with it.
That was there pretty much since the very beginning.
Yes.
Because as soon as I learned about open source software and the whole kind of free software movement, it just clicked that, wait a second, why hasn't this really happened with social media yet? It's happened with operating systems, browsers, money. Every application pretty much has an open source alternative. And there were some alternatives, one of which we even built on top of, called ELG. But it was just a software development framework. It wasn't like a major network itself. So there were a couple open source social media projects, but it was more like, just not an actual community in and of itself, more so like a developer platform for other people to build. And so just that idea that corporations are going to become more transparent and secure and, just consumer respecting over time. That was kind of the original thesis.
That's great. So according to you, since there were a lot of social media platforms that were kind of like reigning for more than 2 decades, if we measure around that, like from like having the there was MySpace back in the day, then Facebook came along, and it was there for almost like it's been almost like 20 years since Facebook is already there. Then Twitter came along and Instagram. Like so many social media platforms actually dominated the marketplace, and then new social media actually popping up. So I'm curious to know about how you think the perfect social media looks like in your perspective. Like even that decentralized perspective could come along, but according to you, like what's the perfect social media and then essentially would look like if you have a canvas and you have paintbrush and you start working on it? Like what do you think about it?
I mean, it would probably be pretty close to how mine's is structured. I think that regardless of the app, whether it's a social media app or whether it's whatever app, whether it's a gaming app, whether it's a dating app, or literally any app you could find in the App Store has the potential to have an open source competitor and also be running on at least some mix of centralized and decentralized infrastructure, because the decentralized protocols that we're integrating with have, a set of components and principles that could be applied to any app. I mean, what is an app? An app has, you have an identity, you have data, you have potentially some kind of a network where you're connected to other users on the app, or maybe not. Maybe it's just like a simple kind of e-commerce app. But even if it's an e-commerce app, you're often like rating other accounts, and there is communication. There's usually like comments or something, reviews. So it's sort of like most modern apps have some kind of social engine underneath them. And the ones that don't, it's kind of like, well, why don't you? Like if you're say you're some like big media app, New York Times, or you're some e-commerce app that actually has no social functionality. I mean, I would sort of argue that is just an unevolved app. It's not maximizing the potential network that it has, because you're not enabling any kinds of publishing or communication. And so you're just basically limiting the potential you have for people to use your app more, as opposed to just going to New York Times and like reading articles. What if New York Times had a whole publishing network for citizen journalism, and where people could actually, and then they could source those articles, they could use those articles, they could then pay the citizens to use their article. Like there's so much potential that they could be getting out of their network, but they very much exist in this like sort of hierarchical structure. So yeah, I mean, any app can run on open source decentralized systems, even in with social functionality. And so like Nostr, you have the whole Fediverse, you have now you have the @ protocol and Blue Sky, you've got Farcaster, kind of which is decentralized social in the Ethereum space. So you have like all of these different protocols that have pretty interesting communities on them. So for us, like we're more agnostic and running like a hybrid infrastructure, centralized and decentralized. So the app feels very much like Twitter, Instagram or something. But it has all of this kind of happening under the hood, and we do like these aggressive rev share models. So like, for instance, we just rolled out this new affiliate structure where we are actually splitting our revenue with the people who bring the revenue. So you get a 45% commission if you help sell any boosts, which are basically promoted poster ads, or if you get people to upgrade to Minds Plus or Minds Pro. You're taking 45% of that, and that's on the extended timeline. It's not just one time. So that is a very aggressive rev share, which is,
Yes.
and then actually you can get 5% on affiliate referrals as well. So because it's like there's two different types of people. Some people are salespeople and they know how to sell. Other people are more networking focused. So if you're really good at building networks, then the affiliate stuff is really good for you, because if you bring in networks, you're earning passively on that. But then for the salespeople, like it's just it's a straight commission. So, and that's on top of all of the creator monetization tools that we have. And then, and you also earn, if you bring in a big creator, you get 5% of their earnings.
Yeah, kind of like a sub affiliate.
Yeah. So like baking all of that in, finally rolling that out has been really exciting for me, because I've just wanted that to be a thing for so long, particularly with the boosts, because are you familiar with the boost setup?
On other social media platform, yes, because I've signed up for Minds a couple of days back, and I do receive that email of affiliate commission that you were talking about right now. So
Oh, nice.
I'm still like walking through Minds, like how everything works out into it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, boost, basically you can earn reach on Minds, where
okay.
So you contribute, you make posts. If you get engagement, you'll earn tokens. Tokens can be used to boost your post. And we actually reserve a section of our ad inventory for token earners. So we're essentially giving away a major supply of our ad inventory for free to people who are contributing. And then you can also boost with cash as well. But like, if you get someone to boost their post or buy advertising space, you get half essentially. Which is like, I mean, imagine if Google or like Instagram or Facebook did that.
That would have been insane.
It would be crazy. Like, yeah, you can like make a ton of money, and we have like a pretty sophisticated bidding system for our ad network, and there's no like surveillance or like sketchy stuff like that. And you can turn off the boosts if you want. I like them, because like the types of people who advertise on Minds are, it's not like, at least right now, they're not just like annoying ads. Like, they're typically like creators who want other people to see their stuff. So it's a very different type of community.
Yeah, exactly. Even the other thing that I also feel that is a lot of, let's say, a lot of big creators who come on Minds at the moment, it's probably much easier to get their attention as well, compared to on other social media platform, which might be like Facebook, Instagram or so, because over there they have like millions of followers, so hard to even like reach out to them, or so hard even to connect with them. Over there they might not have like massive following like right away in the initial start, so it might become a little bit easier for it to even like interact with them in the first place, apart from the other benefits of it.
Yeah. It's funny, like, so did you see the Supermind feature?
Yeah, I saw that into that stuff. So, yeah, I've been through that. I saw like what it is.
Supermind enables any user to send an offer to any other user in exchange for a video or writing,
a promotion or so. Yeah,
or promotion. Yeah. So, and it's actually, there's some, because we connected through Guestio, which was a cool app, which I was on Travis's show a while ago.
yeah.
CEO of Guestio. And it's a similar concept. It's like, I, can send you an offer to like do my show. And it's a cool platform. And there's overlap with Supermind, because it's this whole idea of like a peer-to-peer marketplace between creators. And yeah, so I actually want to integrate some kind of scheduling functionality into Minds, where like, have you ever heard of cal.com?
Which one?
Cal.com.
Yes.
They're basically like the open source competitor to Calendly.
Yeah.
And they're killing it. Like, they're basically better than Calendly. It's all open source. They help develop. they'll help application developers, integrate scheduling software into their stack. It can be self-hosted. It's just another perfect example of open source, dominating closed source because they're growing so much faster and with so much less funding. And Calendly had such a head start.
Exactly.
So it's like Calendly is just, they're not going anywhere. They're still a successful business. But yeah, it's like that whole concept just keeps being reaffirmed.
Well, that's amazing, and I was really like I was not only curious about, like, when I was watching the whole perspective of the monetization part over there. I was like, that's, first of all, that's an amazing idea to go for, where social media platform that's actually growing, people have this sort of, like, ability to go in and leverage that and go ahead with it. The other part of it, which was also kind of like interesting, is you also take public funding, so that people can go in and invest into mines and become an investor, a public investor.
Yeah. So right now, actually, we're running a equity crowdfunding campaign. If you go to wefunder.com/mines, and this is our second time doing it. We're basically, anyone can invest and get preferred stock. Our first funding round, our first big funding round was we raised $1 million on WeFunder, and 1,500 members of the community invested. And then we did we did venture deals for a while, and we got some great partners that way. But now we actually reopened it, and so over 500 people are in already. We've around 300K, I think, is in.
Yes.
And so it's like really good progress, and I just love having that accessibility to people to get involved early. And I just feel like people deserve to be able to have a vested interest in a network that they're contributing to. So it's like we share the revenue, we share the equity.
Yeah. I remember, I guess you were talking about that, let's say in the future, if Minds.com actually goes public, that's where the magic happens for the people who actually invested. Doesn't matter how much they actually invested into it, if they actually believe the mission, if they're going ahead with it.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That was an amazing idea. For me, like, when I saw that, I felt like a lot of people out there who actually do sort of like crowdfunding, or kind of like Kickstarter, they were doing that part of stuff. But in this side, it mostly those people do it for a product, for a certain sort of, like, I would say prototype or so. But this was completely for a different social media platform that are actually growing with people, for people who are investing into it. So that was an interesting idea to get into. The next thing that I had in my mind was, which was also something that a lot of people have this sort of narrative built up in their mind, is deciding about what could be a right or wrong thing on social media. I know, like, Elon Musk was also talking about this exact same thing, where you cannot say, like, this thing is wrong thing just because a social media platform just go in and impose that thing, that, hey, this is wrong, because for other person it could be right, and for other person it could be wrong. So, like, what's your thought around that on Minds, of how the narrative should be for every single person, of deciding what should be right and what should be wrong, rather than the social media itself go on and impose, like, hey, this should be right or this should be wrong. So, like, what's your thought around that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's legal, let people make their own decisions. I just don't understand how that, it doesn't even sound controversial to me at all, but it is very controversial to other people. People have forgotten that you need that speech. You need controversial speech to exist for society to be healthy and function properly, even if it's, even if there are bad ideas. That's it. It's very simple, and it's not even a debate really. I mean, I think most people acknowledge that, United States is, in terms of personal freedoms, is the most free in the world. Doesn't mean it's the best in every way, but it is the most free, which people like, and that's why people want to go to the U.S. And ultimately, it's not, yes, we're restricted by the First Amendment because we're a U.S. company, but with these protocols, it's not even up to us what can get hosted. It's like they're truly censorship resistant. So we can, if something, say is on Nostr, and we sort of are integrating and ingesting and publishing to that protocol, if something illegal exists, we can like tag it and sort of hide it from the interface, but it will still be there on the network, and you can most likely still access it through a different client. So that's what we would kind of do in that situation, and I think that's a better, it's a better model for ensuring censorship resistance, because like you have to ask yourself, what is more dangerous? Some nasty speech, even potentially illegal speech, getting stored, or the risk of everybody's speech being able to get deleted, or at least, yeah, it's kind of it's a tough thing, because you can delete from Nostr. There is a function for, depending on if the relay supports it, to delete, but so it's not a blockchain. It is theoretically possible to delete it, but and then, some projects actually do believe in like immutable speech. And I think that there's a good argument for that option existing. Ultimately, we just want to give people options. Like, you don't even have to publish to the decentralized protocols if you don't want. You can just post it to our servers and then delete it if you want. But you should have the option.
So you should give people the second chance to maybe go on and maybe undo what they've done, probably by themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, even on a centralized database, completely deleting data is not easy. Always.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be footprints and tombstones that exist, and you need to like deliberately flush it out in order to get rid of it. But there would be some sort of like a trace that it
It's
did.
better not to post it.
Huh?
It's better not to post it rather than go in and edit it out or like delete it or so, if there was some sort of like narrative like that.
Right. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if you post something to the internet, I mean,
It's gonna be there.
It's gonna be
one
there.
way or the other.
You have the Wayback Machine. You have, all different kinds of scrapers that are going through everything all the time. You have caching. There's all different caches everywhere in people's browsers and different, edge servers, and so that's just how the internet works. It's trying to remember, because that's what you assume people want it to do when you publish something. So the whole idea of like the right to be forgotten, I don't necessarily buy into that completely. I think that it's good, if you want something down, go ahead and make your best effort to try to take it down. I think, if like when our users delete, like we delete the things that our users say that they want deleted, but if it's out on some other server, like that, but that protects you. It protects you at the same time, because that's what would enable you to leave mines, go log in through another client on Nostr, and have all your stuff be there still, and your followers and
Yeah.
everything. So like that's a benefit.
Yeah, 100%. That was completely a unique approach, as you mentioned. When I heard about that, I was like, that's a great idea. Like people hold their data, and they can, if they feel like they're, let's say, uncomfortable or any of the specific platform, they can move their data and like get that data and shift it or migrate it to another platform and have everything ready to go.
Right.
Which was an amazing thing into it. And the next thing that you mentioned was also true, and which we kind of like also seeing and evolving inside Twitter as well, that they give the people, first of all, the ability to go in to put their community thoughts to see like what could be true, what could be false, rather than like one narrative built out by the people who actually own the social media platform or so.
Right. Right. I really like community notes. I actually, because we have a jury system for our appeals process, but like I think we might even integrate community notes because
Yeah, that's
it's
an
it's
amazing idea.
just very it's very effective. It's like pretty much the best crowdsourced, fact checking system that we've seen yet. And they did open source part of it. They open sourced the scoring
Yes.
stuff. So, we're looking at it. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I don't want to take a lot of your time out there. First of all, Bill, it was amazing having you on the show. Last question I want to ask is, like, what's your next step? What's your next goal with minds.com? Where are you guys heading to? What's the next step?
Well, we're trying to really get this uh, revenue share program cranking. So we'd love to, get you set up with that as well. And
Yep.
we're just trying to partner with networks who may not, uh, the interesting thing is like, it can actually provide a whole new revenue stream for a business. So say you have like a big community, but you don't have an ad network, but you want to give, your community the ability to advertise their stuff. If you partner with us, then, you can, and you blast your community and say, hey, do you want to, like, why advertise on only on Facebook? Why not, advertise to more of a, independent media, kind of freedom-based community? And if anyone from your community does, then you get half. I mean, it's like, that's kind of we're trying to create a model for how we think apps should be incentivizing users and paying out users, like whether it's an AI app or whatever, anything. So, because typically like referral fees and are just such, they're boring, they're BS. It's like, oh, I get $10 to refer my friend to the ride sharing app. Like, why do I
Yeah.
care? I don't care. That's not interesting. Now, if you're Uber and you tell me, oh, actually, we're going to pay you half of everything we earn from the people that you bring in. Now, okay, that's crazy. Like that makes it so that you can justify actually contributing long term.
True.
So yeah, so that's kind of how we want more apps to, and it's in their benefit to do that. It's not like, they may think, you can think about it, oh, I'm like losing so much revenue, but no, you're creating
More opportunities.
more opportunities. And it's like you're nothing without the users. And if
100%.
your whole user base is like loving it and feels, they're going to work hard for you. So yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
What's your name on Minds?
Yeah, it's RJ Ahmed, like exact same name. It was easier to find and get my username for sure right now. So I've created an account recently, probably like yesterday or 2 days back. But yeah, like I've been in the rabbit hole right now. I've been watching like how everything going inside minds. So yeah, guys, like I will post up the link in the description down below, also in the show notes, so that you guys can explore that as well. Obviously, it's gonna be my affiliate link, so you guys go in and check that out as well and see like how everything works around. play with it, see how it works, because I'm still in the rabbit hole. I want to explore how that thing works out, because it turns out to be a great idea for me as well. So yeah, definitely I'm going to post up the links down below. Any last thing, Bill, you want to say before we round the show up?
No, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. Until then, peace out. Bye bye.